Thank you for joining today's event. I am Dr. Pamela Williamson, President and CEO of the Women's Business Enterprise Council West. On behalf of the organization, we are excited to have you join us as we celebrate the contributions that women have made to history, culture, and society. This year, we want to share with you the value of collaboration. We know that great things happen when we work together. We can take on bigger projects, tackle bigger problems, and bring forth bigger solutions. As contracts are getting larger and larger, the words join forces and succeed together are even more powerful. It is my honor to introduce our host for today's event, Lance Dorsey. Lance is a diversity advocate and director of supplier diversity and procurement sustainability for Sony Pictures Entertainment. Previously, Lance managed a supplier diversity and an inclusive hiring program for a Fortune 7 healthcare company. He is a 13-year service-disabled Air Force veteran who served honorably during the Don't Ask, Don't Tell era. He was recognized as a 40 under 40 LGBTQ leader by WBEC magazine. Lance graduated from Webster University with a Master's of Business Administration. He enjoys reading, kayaking, and immersive travel experiences. Everybody show their jazz hands for Lance Dorsey.
Thank you, Pamela, for that introduction. Hello, all. I'm very happy to be here for the Women's Connection Day and share some thoughts on collaboration. You know, previously corporations were pretty good about separating their services either by city or state. It provided us the opportunity to partner deeply with small businesses and have the businesses really understand the needs of our local customer or stakeholder. But that's changed, which I'm sure is not a surprise for many of you here. Now we recognize the need to consolidate services to reduce administrative costs and also realize other cost savings. But it's a perfect opportunity for you to partner with another women business enterprise to expand your scalability and also bundle services to help corporations realize the value of partnering with multiple WBEs on a contract. And I'll give you an example. I was at a Women Veterans event a few years ago, and we were releasing an RFP for custodial services that we were going to break down into 2 regions across the US. I met a phenomenal women business enterprise and custodial services that was eager to be invited to participate in the RFP, but she said she was only interested in the Southwest region. And when I explained to her that that wasn't the way the RFP was going to be structured, she kind of gave up. And in that same conversation, another WBE walked up to me, also in custodial services, and said, hey, you know, I'm interested in bidding on this as well, but I'm only interested in covering the Southwest region. And I looked at her and looked at the other WBE and said, hey, have you two met? This would be a great opportunity for the two of you to collaborate and then bid on this together, sort of as a joint venture. Neither, though, was interested in partnering on this, and I thought that was very interesting, that they would rather have all of nothing than partner and have half of something. It would be a great way for them to partner and expand their capabilities, learn something new about their businesses, and also really help out our company. It's something that I hope that you'll all think about when you're talking amongst yourselves today on the topic of collaboration. And now it is my pleasure to introduce today's keynote speaker, Nancy Ridge. Nancy Ridge is president of Ridge Innovative, a trusted advisor to her clients. She brings a laser focus on enabling business outcomes through technology. In addition, Ridge offers programs for developing channel ecosystems through automated enablement, leadership coaching, team selling, and one-on-one professional coaching. Ridge regularly speaks on panels, acts as a moderator, and serves as a keynote speaker on topics ranging from technology to mentoring and gender diversity. She is the co-founder and past president of the Alliance of Channel Women, a Silver Stevie recipient for Executive of the Year, a certified WBE, and sits on the boards of 3 nonprofits and is an enthusiastic mentor to women and girls in both the workplace and in her community. I welcome Nancy.
Thank you so much, Lance, for that great introduction, and sincere thanks to Dr. Williamson for inviting me to speak on Women's Connection Day. I'm so thrilled to have all of you here today. This is a topic that has been a huge part of my heart for many years as I continue to be an advocate for women making connections, because one thing I know for sure, we are all better together. And I'm really excited to share the PWA engagement model today, especially after that story that Lance just told, because wow, what an opportunity we have to be better together and to get those greater opportunities, such as the one he described at Sony. The PWA engagement model was truly an organic outgrowth of changing market conditions in the age of the ecosystem. But first, before I get into that, allow me to say a few words about the other amazing members of the Power Women Alliance. Kate Heyman has been a founder and CEO of businesses in the Philadelphia area since 2005. She's been a certified WBE for 3 years, and with approval from WBEC Nationals, her company Prelude provides a percentage of the savings that they earn from their work with all the fellow WBEs and WBEC corporates back to WBEC East. They are a silver sponsor for their RPO, and both Kate and members of her staff serve on multiple committees and speak at local events while regularly helping other women join, including me. Deb Ward has been a certified WBE for 5 years. She's a WBE South board member, serving on the finance and membership committees, and is a forum member. Her company, Televergent Solutions, is a champion circle sponsor, and she's assisted 5 women-owned businesses to become certified. Yvonne, who I believe is with us today, welcome Yvonne, is a business professional with over 2 decades of experience. She founded 5P Consulting in 2016, and she has benefited directly from Kate and Deb's help as she seeks her certification. But I would like to also just tell you a little bit about our story and how we all came together. And first, it starts with Deb Ward, because Deb and I have been successfully working together for over 20 years. And during that time, I have continued to have high admiration for Deb as a leader. She's really been a pioneer as well for women in tech. And with a background in telecom expense management, I was introduced to Kate by a colleague, and we immediately formed a bond based on our passion for optimizing spend and reducing costs for enterprises. And when one of my clients began evaluating CRMs, another distinguished female CEO introduced me to Yvonne. The combined commitment of these dynamic female CEOs to gender diversity, equality, and inclusion, coupled with our broad scope of expertise in the emerging tech world, really made for a natural ecosystem formation. So in 2019, I invited them to formalize our collaboration. And I'm really proud to say that in January of 2021, the Power Women Alliance was born. So, in a way, it sounds a little bit simple, but I'll tell you, there has been a lot of work that has gone into this, because we have spent every 2 weeks, first thing Monday morning, coming together in conference calls, really to get to know each other, to understand the value proposition that each of our businesses bring to our clients, and to look for where we can intersect together on that customer journey. And like any new business, we began by creating a joint value statement. And as you can see here, we feel very strongly that as women-owned businesses, it is our mission to fuel economic growth globally by delivering world-class solutions and services to companies who demonstrate their support for women entrepreneurs. We are truly a client-centric ecosystem, and we're built to support and deliver high-value return on investment for our clients. So I've said a few things about ecosystem. And I thought I'd just pause for a moment and provide a broader definition for it. My friend Jay McBain over at Forrester says we are in the decade of the ecosystem, and his assertion is well supported, as you can see, by other experts such as the Peter Drucker School of Management, IDC, Cambridge Service Alliances, Accenture, and literally hundreds of other industry experts. And it's very interesting to me to think about ecosystem. When I first began to study it, I realized that it comes from an ecological metaphor. But today we're going to talk about ecosystem in the business context. And how do we define it? Well, I love this Drucker School of Management definition that really says very plainly, we are an interdependent value creation network. And again, I love that interdependent value creation network of an organization that reaches well beyond its boundaries. So that means, again, together we are better. And an ecosystem can include government agencies, customers, suppliers, distributors, technology partners, alliances, industry associations like WBEC, joint ventures, and others. The point is, we don't all have to be doing the same thing. In fact, the diversity of an ecosystem is what really makes it strong. And you may ask, why create an ecosystem? Well, certainly the relationships, to me, are one of the greatest benefits of an ecosystem. But those relationships have real return on investment. In particular, building an ecosystem encourages both innovation and growth. And we know that in today's changing markets, as challenging as it is to compete, we have to constantly be innovating and looking at how we grow. And one of the ways an ecosystem will help with that is by creating new value propositions. We do that through that interdependency that we mentioned earlier. And certainly those new value propositions that we bring collectively are a springboard for reaching more customers. And the other thing I love is that it really enhances our visibility in the marketplace. I know that marketing is the icon for sales, and at Ridge Innovative, we're very dedicated to our messaging. But that's also true at Prelude Solutions, Televirgence, and 5P Consulting. So when we came together as PWA, suddenly the one message that each one of us put out about our companies became fourfold. We were able to reach so many more people collectively than we did individually. And of course, bringing together our expertise and our experience allowed us to increase the ability to solve complex needs. And we know that today, it doesn't matter what industry you're serving, our needs are all becoming more complex. So how do we define an alliance? Well, again, I really liked this definition. It is a collaborative relationship, which, by the way, women excel at collaboration. As separate parties come together to combine that expertise to bring those joint solutions. We are strategic, that is correct. Certainly an alliance is not just a get together. Yes, we like to do that too, but it's a strategic partnership that gives us that ability to solve those complex issues that no single one could solve on its own. So I want to talk a little bit about distinctions, because I believe that all companies are really defined by their distinctions. And certainly the distinctions of PWA are remarkable and they're highly effective. However, I would venture to say that many of you could claim these very same distinctions. They include being women-owned and operated businesses who make an impact in the WBEC ecosystem. We are seasoned experts, which is a nice way of saying we've been around for a while and we know what we're doing. And of course, the other part is we really do care about our customers' businesses as if they were our own. Now, all of us know how effective women are at collaborating and getting things done. They say if you want something done, give it to a woman. It's just in our DNA. Well, at PWA, we call out our ability to orchestrate very broad technical offerings, both nationally and worldwide. Implementation and execution are our areas of expertise. Have you ever heard the term get her done? Well, that's what we deliver on, to bring profitability to our customers and allow us to score, just like women do, studies have shown, on every metric better together. So our areas of expertise are deep and wide, but in the interest of time today, we're not going to take a deep dive into the value propositions of each companies, but we do encourage you to please reach out. Allow us to meet you individually and learn how we can further extend our ecosystem. We are so excited. In a couple of weeks, we're going to be launching our new website, www.powerwomenalliance.com. And we will be together attending the national conference in June, so perhaps we'll get to meet some of you there. If you want to know more about the individual companies, then I would encourage you to visit our websites. And also, I do have a podcast called The Culture of Innovation that's on iTunes and SoundCloud. And we did a special episode. It's episode 6 of season 1. You'll find it there. I'll try to put it in the chat before we finish today, where I got a chance to bring everyone's voice to the table. And we talked about those value propositions and areas of expertise. But what I really wanted to get into today is the benefits of partnering. And certainly our customer-centric model at PWA is designed to go directly to the mid-market and the enterprise client. As single entities, we've often felt excluded due to a perception that we lack the size and scope to be effective in the enterprise. Lance's story of how at Sony, one of those major enterprises that we're talking about here, how he actually encouraged those two individuals to come together is a good example of how we believe by taking this model and bringing it together that we meet that challenge head on. By partnering with PWA, our clients can solve very specific issues such as overspending, getting the right product solution from a proven and trustworthy provider, and eliminating the complexity of transacting through multiple companies. We bring together our area of expertise and deliver as a single point of contact. So how we engage. So when I had my initial conversation with Dr. Williamson, she was really excited and she said, "This is great. Nancy, will you come and share with the other members how you all did this?" So I'm happy to do that today. And first of all, we looked at this carefully and we decided that it really wasn't necessary or necessarily appropriate to create another LLC or corporation. Rather, we could come together through legal partnering agreements that we've put in place between each of the member entities of PWA. So we're tied together through those partnering agreements. Now, when it comes to working with the client in each scope of work, the lead PWA member will sign the SOW with the client as the single point of contact. If other PWA members contribute to that SOW, they'll be compensated through the lead member. We've been fortunate enough not just to come up with this on our own, but really to receive some very key guidance from a committed WBEC Enterprise DE&I leader who understands the nuances of enterprise procurement. She lives in it every day. And when we presented the PWA solution to her, she said, "This is fantastic. Now let me give you some tips how you can go further to make it easy for the enterprise to engage with PWA." And with her perspective, we refined our engagement approach to be considered and to win those large corporate engagements. So what I thought I would do is, in these next 2 slides, provide an illustration and an example of how this works. So in this particular example, Prelude would be the lead PWA member in a project. And by the way, that's often the case since they begin with an in-depth audit and optimization. Prelude would generate the paper for the client to sign. So let's say in this example, Prelude's done their work and they may uncover an opportunity for optimization of toll-free or contact center services, at which time Televirgent Solutions would enter the picture as the second partner to the SOW under Prelude's paper to deliver that solution. Now, continuing with this example, a gap may be identified in the customer Salesforce integration, and 5P Consulting is now engaged to fill that gap. And lastly, a robust and secure network with global connectivity is required to power the entire solution, and Ridge Innovative delivers the final piece as the fourth partner in the engagement. Together, PWA delivers the whole total solution to the client, simply, cohesively, and on a platform of trust. And note that as good as this example is, and I'd love to have 10 of these come to fruition, it's not the only one. With the depth and breadth of PWA and our ecosystem, there are countless iterations for delivering value to the end user. And again, I hope these examples give you a concrete picture of how you too can form an ecosystem to bring greater value, expand your brand, and really take advantage of everything that WBEC has to offer through our incredible network. So again, how we deliver, our framework ensures clear requirements, design, and user community engagement. It's built on the best of breed in terms of tools that delivers visibility to the client throughout the engagement to give them alignment of activities, risks, and budget to actuals. And at this point, I wanted to show a little bit of what we've actually already done together. So I'm bringing a couple of case studies to the table. And the first one is Mid-Continent Communications, known as Midco. They are a Comcast company. And they were first introduced to Televirgent by myself at Ridge Innovative. The competitive local exchange carrier, Midco, had some pretty serious challenges, including budget cuts, declining revenue. They had teams that were being reduced, the need to upgrade their technology infrastructure, and recent local and federal rule compliance requirements were weighing heavily upon them. So in bringing in Televirgent, who I knew had expertise in this area, they brought their CTO and their entire team who knows exactly how to work with these divergent switches in regional and national networks. And today, after this incredible work that Televirgent did, Midco now maintains a redundant voice switch facility. Ridge Innovative was there throughout the entire process, offering strategic guidance from a non-biased perspective, as well as ongoing collaboration. So together, Televirgent and Ridge Innovative delivered a great customer experience. This company has since consolidated their vendors. They've negotiated for significantly lower rates with those vendors, and they enjoy excellent call quality, and they've been able to continue to meet the compliance with FCC and the rule call completion requirements. And what's even better is this stemmed from the relationship that I mentioned Deb and I have had for many years, and we've enjoyed serving Midco now for over 14 years, which is almost an unheard of length of time in what's known as the wholesale voice space. Now, jumping into the present a little bit more, I want to talk about Watkins Wellness. And Watkins was introduced to Prelude by 5P Consulting through their trusted relationship. And this happened just in June of 2021. And this introduction was made because the client, Watkins, already had a great and trusted relationship with 5P, who had a pretty good insight into what was happening within the Watkins organization and their needs. And when it came up that they were looking to address their contact center and some other key areas, they knew, Yvonne knew that Kate could do this work. Now, the challenge the customer was facing is one that many companies are facing nowadays. Their contact center was lacking maturity and insufficient reporting. And during COVID-19, they struggled to move to a remote workforce. Their system really lacked that modern functionality that was needed to do so. And as a result, they developed some pretty intense goals that needed to get executed right away, including modernizing that contact center, reducing their overall spend, and preparing for a Microsoft Teams migration. So Prelude came into the picture. They provided an assessment of the current state of their contact center, their PBX, and their telecom spend, creating not only a benchmark, but also a roadmap for improved technology. The result, Prelude was able to deliver very specific audits on both the wireless and wireline services, and they've achieved at Watkins over $150,000 in savings. And in addition to that, there's been a 50% reduction in their interaction costs, and they've measured improvement at 100% in their service level. So those are some incredible results. Now, certainly, we expect that there's many more to come, but the reason I like to share those case studies is just to open up the possibility so that we can look at really what we're capable of together, how Prelude would have never known about that opportunity at Watkins if it hadn't been for Yvonne at 5P. With Midco, that 14-year relationship that I've enjoyed with the customer and with Televergence came about because of the close collaboration that our companies have together and that client-centric focus that we bring to everything we do. And these are, again, qualities and commitments that I believe all of you as women-owned businesses can duplicate, regardless of what industry you work in today. So I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank, again, Pamela for allowing me to share the PWA story. And I just want to end by noting that Ridge Innovative offers professional consulting services to help organizations of all sizes build ecosystems and go-to-market channel distribution strategies using the latest in tools of technology and welcoming those trends. And I invite all of you to please take the opportunity to help each other as women-owned businesses to build your own alliances, to create new value, to create new propositions, and to serve ever more customers in your ecosystem. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because it's time for me to introduce our panel today. And I am really honored to have this ability to segue right from the PWA story into this panel discussion where I've learned that there are alliances already firmly in place here in WBEC-West between some of our very own members. And today I'm really honored to introduce Pam Feld, who is the CEO of Triumph Technology Group, and Michelle Menayer, who is the CEO of CTC Conferences. And rather than maybe shortchanging them on an opportunity to give their businesses a really good introduction, ladies, I'm going to allow you to do the honors. And I'd like to start with Pam. If you could introduce yourself, your company, and maybe tell us a little bit about how long you've been a member of WBEC.
Sure. Thanks, Nancy, so much. Great to be here. I'm Pamela Feld, CEO of Triumph Technology Group, also known as P3, because we have a number of Pamelas in this group, Dr. Pamela and myself, among others. We are located in Southern California, and we are a national cybersecurity consulting, speaking, and training firm. I have a passion for educating and sharing and training with people. I recently became a We Thrive instructor a few years ago with WBEC, and we're all about helping you and your employees sleep better at night. So we all know it's not if, but when in cybersecurity. And so we want to help you prevent those bad things from happening. And I've got about 20 years in technology plus. I've been certified for about 5 years as a WBE, and I am also the past OC Forum Chair. So that's a little bit about me.
Fantastic. Wow, that's a lot. And I love the fact that we've got such an expert in security. It's such a needed service today.
Thank you, Nancy.
Michelle.
Hey there, how are you? Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. I'm Michelle Menayer, founder and president of Coast to Coast Conferences and Events. We're a national company that offers just strategic, try to say that twice, solutions and expertise in producing virtual, hybrid, and in-person events on time and on budget. So we're very excited to collaborate with you all here today. Our company has been certified for 5 years, and I'm currently the OC Forum Chair.
Excellent. And Michelle, I would like to just kind of dive in from that standpoint. What is the OC Forum and how does it provide value to WBEC-West members?
Thank you, Nancy, for that question. Actually, this is one of my passions, if you will. I want to give you just a little background in case you all don't know what a forum is. But forum is that there's forums that represent WBEs in all the states that make up WBEC-West, and California is divided into 3 because it's so big. So there's Orange County, Los Angeles, San Diego, Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, and Hawaii. And the positions making up the forum are vice chair, senior vice chair, and past president. The thing that's really cool for all of you is that if you have a desire to serve, if you are certified for 1 year and in good standing, you can apply to be part of the forum. And being a forum leader is a great way to get involved with the WBE community and to meet the corporate members. So what do? We volunteer our time to be a liaison between the WBEs and WBEC-West locally and nationally. Talk about a networking opportunity. It's there. We are the boots on the ground, learning the needs of the WBEs and communicating those needs to our Vice President, Jamie Lomax. This, again, is a great way to help and support our community. We also make a lot of connections when our WBEs come to us and they say that they're looking for a particular corporate member or another WBE to collaborate with. We oftentimes are able to make those connections. And we're also responsible for coordinating events in our regions. And for example, an upcoming event that you might want to put on your calendar is the Expert Series. What you need to know before signing a contract.
Like urgent to go ahead.
And that's on April 20th.
I saw you're on mute.
Michelle, you can unmute.
Yeah, I did. When did that happen?
There we go.
Okay, what part did you miss?
You were just wrapping up on that last piece.
Okay. Oh, that's weird. Somebody muted me. Anyway, we're responsible for coordinating events in our regions, and an upcoming event, if you're interested in putting it on your calendar, is the Expert Series, what you need to know before signing a contract. And that's April 20th at 12 o'clock, and that will be virtual Pacific Standard Time. And if you want to learn more about other WBEC-West events, and I think there are probably 60 this year, go to the WBEC-West site and look at the events. And I'll put that in the chat as well.
That's great.
Hope to see you there. Throwing it back to you, Nancy.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all that, because again, you know, for some of us like myself, I'm new here, and it's really important to understand, like, where are those points of connection for us? And already, you know, through that example, like the experts, for example, you know, that is a place where we can really take advantage of our ecosystem to learn from each other. So I really appreciate you sharing that. Also, you know, I wanted to go back to this conversation around alliances. We know that they are formed and they grow through connections. and confidence in those connections. You know, there's more to just making the connection. Like, we all go to networking events and we may make connections here and there, but it's a whole nother level when we meet someone and we take that next step to really get to know them and to really build that confidence in who they are and what they are bringing to the table. So you met someone who was key to this through We Thrive. Can you tell us a little bit about her, about how that connection was formed and what the outcome of that connection has been?
Great, thanks, Nancy. That's just one of the many connections and collaborations that I've made in this virtual world over the past 2 years. I met Linda Modica, and she's the CEO of Linda Modica Innovation and Designs. We be from the East Coast, and like Nancy just said, we were in We Thrive together. And Linda is a digital brand designer for events, among other many services that she provides. Our company produces events, so our company services complemented each other. Linda and I joined forces, and together as a team, we won a $100,000 contract. And we have, isn't that amazing? Yeah, we were really excited. And I also am partnering with another WBEC who markets events, and we have a $75,000 contract pending. You know, you just never know who you might meet. Thanks,
so this idea of alliances is not new to you, Michelle. You're already capitalizing on it.
That is right. And it's not that hard. You know, you just find, companies that are complementary to what you do, that you think that your clients have a need for. And it's not as formal as what yours is. And I love your platform and what you've done. But, you know, it's just, you know, if you're present at these virtual events, it's amazing who you can meet.
So I just want to ask a quick follow-up question about Linda. So when you met her the first time, you said it was through this virtual world. How interesting, you know, just to see that the power of connection can now happen virtually as well as in person. How did the two of you take that relationship to the next level? Like, what steps did you take to do that?
To collaborate, or?
Yeah, just to get to know each other to where there was enough trust to go in and win a $100,000 deal.
We had many virtual meetings.
Mm-hmm. It was work, right?
Yeah, and it's amazing how efficient it is because she's East Coast and I'm West Coast. But it was really just to learn about each other's services and also what their customer service values are, because we're very customer centric. And it's really important whoever we collaborate with has that same value. So your values have to align and your mission has to align. Those are things that we really wanted to make sure. Anytime you collaborate, you want to make sure that that's what you're making sure that the other company has the same values as yours.
Right. Right. So if there's a checklist for doing this, values are right at the top.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
I agree with that 100%. And, you know, it's interesting how, you know, that will come to the fore very quickly. I think sometimes we inherently will see that in each other. And, you know, there is some of a natural chemistry that happens a little bit with these collaborations too, even through the internet.
And so, what's interesting is then we started identifying other companies we could collaborate with. Mm-hmm. You know, and then we just build a bigger and bigger force, you know, so we can take on bigger projects. So that's been great.
Yeah, that's a really great example. So Pam, I want to turn to you now, and you've joined forces with Michelle. In fact, I just want to share with the rest of the ladies that I got to meet these two in person. We're fortunate enough to be relatively close proximity here in Southern California last week. And I could see the chemistry for sure between the two of them. They, you know, you could tell that they have been working together and they have a relationship. So I know you two have joined forces in the past. What do you see as the benefits of the alliance and alliances in general?
Well, thank you, Nancy. I mean, there's just so many ways that this can help us all. And like you said, chemistry is a big part of it. I mean, can't ignore the chemistry. You have chemistry with some people and some people you don't. So, but the informal alliance that Michelle and I have really created over the last few years, and it happens over a period of time. It's not going to be necessarily something overnight, like Michelle said, where, you have to have a lot of meetings and kind of get to know each other. It's not going to be right away. But with Michelle and I, it's been more of an informal thing where we are always looking out for each other's businesses. We have our eyes and ears open for when I hear about conferences or events or someone who's planning something, I'm looking out for Michelle in that way, and a group of other people as well. We were even able to pitch each other's businesses to some degree and look out for those opportunities. So it's been a wonderful thing. We were able to kind of cross-pollinate and see what else is out there and have more like boots on the grounds in a sense that it's not just me, it's other people looking out for our respective businesses. So I would say just start small too. I mean, it's not necessarily going to be overnight. You're going to have that connection. It may not be the first time round. I mean, we all have had different experiences, but I think that's been a really great benefit, Michelle and myself, looking out for conferences or events that things are going to be appropriate for us, or connections that would be appropriate with us with other WBEs or other corporates. So all of those are great informal parts. I mean, as you know, Nancy, we've done also a more formal alliance. I've partnered with 2 other WBEs in a different space as well, Melanie Ray of Guided Business Plan and Kat Tank from Cat Communications. And that also kind of just grew over a period of time over the last few years because we all got to know each other in a group called CEO Success Community, which we can talk about separately as well. But we all got to know each other's businesses, and we also had that complementary themes and topics that we were discussing. So for instance, with me, it's cybersecurity. With Melanie Ray, she does entrepreneur training and business continuity. And then Kat does disaster training and products. So we all kind of go, you know what? Hey, this all kind of goes together. So now, what's that?
100%.
Yeah, so it's been a wonderful thing. We actually started speaking together, helping each other out, on paid speaking engagements. And also, in fact, Melanie and I have actually recently hired someone together, but we are going after much larger types of opportunities right now. We're in the process of several deals that are several hundreds of thousands of dollars, which have the potential to be really multi-million-dollar opportunities. And we couldn't have done that if we were doing those alone. So together, like you said earlier, together, we're better together. So we're stronger and better together. And I think someone also mentioned in the chat how the corporations also really like that. They love the fact that we are collaborating together. We're putting our forces together. And so they see, it's not just one business, it's several businesses who can, in your case, like you've done it really amazingly, Nancy, with your group, that you can go on those multi-million and much larger opportunities that you may not have been able to do on your own. So,
yeah. And I love what you said too about having each other's back. I think that's fantastic. That stood out to me, as well as really learning the value proposition of those that we're partnered with, so that we can give the elevator pitch for them just as easily as we can give our own elevator pitch. And I think that's a key aspect to it. So now with the focus shifting really to diversity and inclusion, thank goodness we're starting to see that happen in a more tangible way in both government and public and private sectors. And now here in the state of California, there was recently the legislation, Assembly Bill 962, that was passed for diversity, in other words, minority, women, LGBTQ, and disabled veterans, creating opportunities. How do you see that being an opportunity for our WBEC alliances?
I think it's a huge opportunity that all of us, in fact, when we had earlier this year, we did a program, Michelle and I, as part of the OC Forum, that we talked about this with Michael Herrera from Cedars-Sinai. And basically the opportunities are for every type of business out there. That's the exciting thing, especially for California businesses. So it was a bill that was passed several years ago, and it's creating opportunity where really there was none before for small businesses. So this is a perfect place for alliances to form and for you to help grow and scale your business, and potentially not just in this area, but for collaboration in other industries as well. But this specifically bill was for large entities, for California hospitals with $50 million or more. So we're talking about large entities who need this help, and they are required now to report their supplier diversity spends. So that means it's opportunity, like you said, for minority, women, LGBT, and veteran-owned businesses even more. So where you couldn't have maybe done an RFP to one of these large multi-million-dollar corporations before, now they're looking for you. They're looking for us, which is amazing. So it's really something all of you should really check out. I know Angela, my assistant, has the note on there in the chat to check out that that bill and see what opportunities there may be for you. And I'm sure there's going to be more things that OC Forum and other groups are going to be talking about to get everyone hopefully their piece of this wonderful pie that's been created for us.
Right, and we're seeing that happen too on the federal level. I know that that is a state of California piece of legislation, but certainly on the federal level, there's been executive orders that have come across, for AAP and others that are making a big impact. So I guess my message would be, we no longer have to be intimidated as small businesses to go after these types of opportunities. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's been created for us with legislation. So now we definitely all have to do our part to do our collaboration and check where it can fit for us in this opportunity. Absolutely.
Right. That's great. So, I would say alliances, again, we know they're formed through connections and confidence, as we talked about with Michelle. I wanted to just check in with the two of you together. Maybe we could have a little bit of a dialogue, because your collaboration has been, so profound, especially within this group, and you're doing some exciting new things. So, I certainly want to leave the floor open if there's anything else we want to talk about specific to creating these alliances or what they mean. But I think it's also fun to kind of talk about what are some of the opportunities we have within WBEC-West now to get engaged.
Is this to anybody? I'll start.
Yeah, go ahead, Michelle.
Take it, Michelle.
Well, one thing that Pam and I talked about for quite some time, actually, last year, is how do we engage the Weebies? And that's what we're all called, by the way, in case you didn't know, together with each other, without, a corporate member there and having to be on your P's and Q's, and being able to have a relaxed environment where you can come and we can talk about anything that you have on your mind, any challenges you have in your business or a need that you have. So I'm very, very excited that we finally are taking this to fruition, and we've gotten the approval, and we're going to start office hours. So our first one is May 24th, and it's at 12, and that's Pacific Standard Time, and it's 45 minutes. And we're just going to see what happens, but it's going to be very informal. We want it to be Weebie to Weebie, and to start developing collaborations, or if you need resources, or if you're having a challenge, there's a Weebie that probably already went through that challenge. One of the biggest aha moments I had is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Somebody's already done it. You just may need to be able to be connected to that person. So we think this is going to be, a really good way for our Weebies just to be with each other, without any pretense of corporates and all that kind of stuff, and just to talk and collaborate with each other.
Really well said. And that's exactly, you couldn't have said it any better, Michelle. I mean, it's absolutely true. We just want it to be a safe place, a warm place that you can come to, be a positive experience. Are you looking for something? Do you need something? What can we do for you? So, I think it'll be, honestly, I think it'll be a model for across other RPOs, other organizations across the country, if you ask me. I'm hoping you all will show up and ask questions, and hopefully we can all help each other and collaborate together, because that's all what we're about. Michelle and I and WBEC-West is making this a place for all of us to be able to succeed and thrive. So absolutely.
Yeah. And participation is what makes it work.
Absolutely.
So we've got to dive in and participate.
And having this opportunity to be able to do it virtually right now. Our last one we did was right before the pandemic started, when we did one here in Orange County. But this is, that's the silver lining of the pandemic, that we've been able to do this in a virtual way. And at this point, we can continue doing that across the West Coast.
Absolutely.
And beyond.
Well, is there anything else that the two of you would like to add, either about your own alliance, about your experience with alliances, or about what's happening here in the West. Otherwise, we're going to open it up to questions.
I just want to say, I mean, if it weren't for the alliances and these groups that we formed over the last few years, I mean, even just succeeding and getting through the pandemic was critical for us. I mean, having that connection with Michelle and the other group of women that we formed, I actually formed another small group that we've been meeting now for about 6 months. And it just, I can't say how much, the only thing I wish is that we had done it so much sooner. So I just say, do it now, you know, whether it's with us or other people, just form that small group of your own that works for you and get that going, because it's been invaluable for, I think, all of us in this time, and through the good times and through the bads, that we can all kind of learn and grow from each other together. So I would say, just encourage you all to do it, and feel free to reach out to either one of us, I'm sure, to ask any question that you have. I mean, and showing up, like you said, Nancy, is huge. I mean, I know Michelle and I, and there's a number of other people, Pamela Stamba and Amy rolling on here, and Leanne, and I'm sure I'm missing somebody. We're all just seeing each other all the time, whether it's before it was in person, but now it's virtually. It's just keep showing up and getting together, because we all have our good days and our bad days, and you know, they can't all be good, and we're here to share that with you and help us grow.
And Pam, didn't you, one of the things that I think is great too is, you know, when you see a need, fix it, right? Mm-hmm. So Pam, didn't you have a cybersecurity checklist or something that you created?
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, thank you.
Cybersecurity is such a big thing right now.
As part of Thank you. It's really sweet of you. So basically, it also came as a result of alliances and collaboration with CEO Success and Platinum Supplier. All this came about of being, you know, WBE and certified, that I was asked to be a facilitator and an instructor for the We Thrive class. So I think many of you hopefully are familiar with that WBEC is doing. It's basically a 3-month class on all sorts of things for operations and security and HR. So hopefully all of you know, and if you don't, happy to explain it to you or reach out to me. But basically, so I started doing classes online, paid presentations for WBEC on that. And what we did as a result of this, we created a cyber checklist. So we call it our cyber ICE form. So in case of emergency form. So it's just a way for you to just kind of take a look at what you're doing now, take a little kind of mini assessment of what you're doing and maybe where some holes are. And I'd be happy, I think Angela can put that in the chat for you guys if you want to copy it. We have a fillable form that you can just fill out, and we're happy to talk with you about it if you like. But it's a great little quick checklist of all the things that you might need in case of an emergency. And I was just on a call just before this with one of the top cyber people in the world, in the country, and how he was just again saying the bad guys are out there, it's going to happen, and I don't want to scare anybody, but just do everything you can to be prepared, because there's the bad actors out there. So we created this form for you to just kind of get you started on that cybersecurity journey. So yeah, feel free to reach out, and thanks, Michelle, for mentioning that.
Yeah. And on the other note, I also created, because I saw people not showing up and getting noticed in virtual events. And so I created 6 simple tips. I see Mary right here, and Mary's been asking me for this. It's coming next week. So yeah. So anyway, just really simple tips that don't take you a lot of time, that will help you get noticed in the virtual world. So if any of you would like those tips, I'd be happy to provide them to you. Just put your email and just say tips on it. And I'm sending those out next week. So, you know, those are the kind of things that we all can do to help each other. Mm-hmm. And if there are things, just from an OC Forum Chair perspective, if there are things, you know, things that aren't getting addressed in WBEC-West that you feel would be helpful to you or are important for the whole community, please reach out to myself, to Pam. Amy Rowland is also on the OC Forum, and Dylan Ano. Please reach out to us, and please let us know what those things are, because we can't fix something that we don't know is broken.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And again, I'm so delighted. I want to point out to see that participation we talked about a moment ago is so critical. Michelle and Pam, your commitment and involvement to the community has not only brought you, all these connections and opportunities, but certainly, it's given you that broader platform that we talked about earlier, really exemplified with what we're discussing today. And when I look back to the women that that invited me to be a part of WBEC, that invited me to this community. You know, remember, you know, certified 3 to 5 years. You know, Deb is a WB South board member. You know, Kate's, you know, been a sponsor and actually donating part of her profits and proceeds for any business that she does with other WBEs back to her RPO. You know, these are the types of examples that remind us that, you know, getting involved and being a part of has its rewards. It takes effort, but it's definitely worth it. So we're down to the last few minutes. Are there any questions from our audience today? You can put them in the chat or unmute, I believe. Oh, and I see Dewana reminding us, if it's about programs, please shoot an email to the office. So more on our topic of alliances today.
If I could say one thing while everybody's putting a question in the chat, save the chat. If you just put a note on your computer to save the chat before you go away, there is a wealth of connections and information that you don't have time to look at while you're in a webinar or in a meeting.
So
that's one of my tips.
Just to answer the question, there was a question that came from Leanne about, do we need to create a separate DBA for the collective business? It's certainly an option, but it's not necessary. So PWA exists really as a marketing entity, if you will, as opposed to a legal entity, because as I mentioned, you know, we are connected through those partnering agreements that we have amongst each other. But that's a really good question. Thank you for asking. Anybody else? No? Well, Dewana, I think we're going to turn it over to you then to close us out. And thanks again to our great panel. Yay!
Thank you,
Nancy.
Nancy, please share your information once again in the chat so all the ladies will have that as well. I'd like to really thank all of you for showing up today, gaining some valuable information about the power of collaboration. Everyone who joined, I'm sure, walked away with something new and useful that they can take to their everyday business. And again, if you'd like to know more about the programs that we are producing, please make sure to email office@wbec-west.org or check our calendar. And with that, I'd just like to thank everyone for joining and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Dewana, Nancy, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.